Hi, I'm Steve Hayward, founder of the Baseball Health Network, and I'm standing here at Professional Baseball Instruction in Upper Saddle River, New Jersey. Today we're going to discuss our Pitching Healthy program. It's a program I developed over the last few years, and this is really the first year that we really dedicated a specific camp to training pitchers, conditioning their arms, teaching how to utilize their body with proper alignment, proper direction towards the plate, and the use of their lower body through the hip rotation and their back foot. The program that we do here is a 3-month program. It starts in the end of November and it runs right up to the high school season. My main goal in the first month of the program is to get these kids throwing baseballs. As many throws as we can make. We made probably over 100 throws a day. And to some of you people say, wow, that's a lot of throws. The thought process of kids are getting hurt too much because they throw too much is not really true. I believe actually the opposite, that kids aren't throwing enough. So it was my goal to get these kids to make as many throws as possible in a short period of time. The first thing that we did is we worked on throwing with a shuffle, okay? Getting our body properly aligned, making sure that our feet, our hips, and our shoulders are lined up in the direction that we want to go. And then we would throw with a shuffle. We'd move our feet, staying lined up, and really concentrating on utilizing our hips, getting that early hip rotation, getting our hips to turn first before our upper body turns. Then we can create that torque and create more momentum and velocity towards the target. So we did that for about a month and a half. Each guy, like I said, made probably about 125 throws a night. We started out at 50 feet, and then went to 60 feet, and we worked all the way up to about 100 feet. What we really wanted to focus on was proper alignment and direction. Alignment meaning our feet are straight, our hips are lined up, our shoulders are lined up, and as we're shuffling towards our target, we're staying lined up. We're not peeling off to the side, we're not pulling our head off to the side. We're trying to create maximum direction, maximum power in the direction of our target. So we worked out, starting out doing a shuffle, just to get the momentum, to take the stress off their arms. And we started out making throws at 50 feet, and we worked to 60 feet, and we worked all the way up to 100 feet. And we worked on throwing the ball in a straight line, keeping all of our momentum going towards our target. And we did that again for about a month. And then we began throwing to catchers. And we worked off a flat ground. Again, we started at about 50 feet, then 55, then 60. And we worked on throwing flat ground work for about 3 weeks before we actually got on the mound. Now, throwing off of a flat ground, it puts a little less stress on your arm. When you get up on the bump and you're throwing on an angle down, it puts a little bit more stress on your arm. You're getting more of a pull down, so we wanted to make sure that the arms were in condition before we actually put them on the mound. Once we got the guys up on the mound, again, we strictly focused on throwing fastballs right down the center of the plate. And the idea is this: if I can line my body up to the center of the plate and I can throw the ball in a straight line, I'm maximizing my body. I'm minimizing the stress on my throwing arm. When I want to start throwing pitches to other sides of the plate, like the outside corner or the inside corner, it's the same concept. If I'm coming straight ahead, throwing a fastball down the middle, I want to be lined up in a straight line to the target. If I'm throwing a fastball away, I want to kind of have my body lined up to the fastball away, shoulders, hips, and feet. If I'm throwing a ball inside, I want to be lined up this way. So teaching these guys to properly align their body towards their target, again, it's going to minimize the stress and maximize their velocity. Off-speed pitches. We started throwing changeups halfway through the program. It's a 3-month program. A month and a half into it, we started throwing changeups. And again, we started out throwing them just into a net where we just shuffled, properly aligned ourselves, and worked on our changeup grips. To me, there's really no one changeup you should throw. And kids ask me all the time, what changeup should I throw? You throw the changeup that feels the most comfortable to you and is the most effective. The changeup that I teach is something I learned in the Red Sox organization from a pitcher named Al Nipper, who was a tremendous pitching coach. And I was young at the time, and I really wasn't willing to accept having to change from my circle change to what they call a fosh. And that's a pitch that I recommend for everybody. It's just spreading your fingers on the seams, holding the ball soft in your hand, and getting a good finish with your wrist, and throwing the ball in a downward angle. So we started throwing changeups, again, a month and a half into it, and we started stretching it out to where we were throwing it about at 90 feet. If you throw the changeup at 90 feet, and you don't have good arm speed and good hand speed at the end of the pitch, you're not going to reach your target. Some guys wanted to go with the circle change, whether it's 4-seam or 2-seam. The preference is how it feels in your hand. Okay, having an off-speed pitch, a changeup, with the deception of the pitch, is real good for young pitchers. It's much better than a breaking pitch. We just started about 2 weeks ago throwing breaking stuff. Most guys have a curveball. Some guys have a slider. Whether it's a curveball or slider, it's a breaking pitch. If I threw my breaking pitch, 10 guys would say it's a curveball, 10 guys would say it's a slider, so it's a breaking pitch. But we really concentrate on the curveball, on cushioning our elbow. A lot of guys like to come off to the side, and we were just having guys shuffle again, staying straight, coming down through the pitch, making sure that our fingers are in front of the ball before we start to pull. When you start to pull from back here, that's when your curveball sails high, and you're putting more stress on your arm. When you get that curveball out in front, and you get your fingers in front, and then start to create that rotation, and then come back through the pitch, that's the way to cushion your elbow. When you talk about a slider, you turn the ball a lot later out in front, and it's a little bit more violent of motion on your elbow, okay, because we're turning it late and we're pulling through it. So you're pulling, you're pronating, and then you're coming back through. So we recommend throwing a curveball for the younger kids. For some of the high school kids that we have in our program, we worked on a slider or some type of a faster, shorter breaking pitch. And we're at the point right now where every guy is throwing 65 competitive pitches. The high school season starts in 7 days, and the pitchers in our program will be able to throw 65 to 70 competitive pitches on the first day of practice. You are a tremendous asset to your team if you can field your position, if you can field bunts, if you can catch comebackers, if you can knock comebackers down, not panic, pick it up, make a good throw. If you can get to first base on a ball hit to first base or on a double play, okay? There are certain angles that you have to take. One in particular thing we talk about here is when I was younger, I was always taught to run, towards the foul line, 15 feet and then up the line. But as you start playing at the higher levels, the players are a lot faster, and you don't really have time to do that. You want to run more direct to the base, and you definitely want to get up the baseline, but you don't want to start that direction up the line too far up the foul line, okay? Because runners are quicker, you're going to get down the line, and there's a good chance you're going to get hurt by being in the baseline. So we spent a little bit of time on fielding our positions. The other important aspect that we cover in this program is the strength training, the flexibility, the conditioning, which without that, you really don't have consistent alignment, you really don't have consistent direction towards the plate, you really don't have maximum hip rotation. So we spent a lot of time in this program focusing on the strengths and weaknesses of each individual player.
Okay, and the way that we do that is we implement assessments in the form of a movement analysis, in which helps us identify core dysfunction. It's a power position, and you need to be able to train your body in the power phase, using a continuum that isn't too low of an intensity, but also isn't too high of an intensity, finding somewhere in the middle to where you can keep everything balanced, but make sure that at some point we are overloading these kids and allowing their bodies to adapt and make the adjustments so they can throw harder when they're on the mound. We use high intensity training, like I said. We use low intensity training. We try and do as much muscular endurance training as we can. That way their bodies are staying healthy and their shoulders aren't breaking down in the middle of the season. A lot of the philosophies that we use and methods that we use are made to reduce fatigue factors. So that way there's no type of muscular imbalances, and there's no major compensation for when these pitchers actually do start to get tired. Our phases of training at the Pitching Healthy program at PBI consist of 3 main categories. We have muscular endurance training, we have strength training, and we have power training. And within those 3 phases, we also implement a lot of stabilization training, so that way pitchers can learn to control their core and they have more control over their body, and they can move with more efficiency out on the mound, which will ultimately lead to throwing with a higher velocity.
I've also aligned myself with Dr. Christopher Ahmad, who's currently the Yankees team doctor, and I'm the guy that does the rehabilitative throwing and the rehabilitation after he does some type of surgical procedure, whether it's a labrum or a growth plate or a Tommy John surgery. I'm the guy that's been doing that. So I have a ton of experience rehabbing these guys and understanding what's important. I didn't create this program overnight. I was a high school baseball coach for 15 years between St. Joe's Regional High School in Montville, New Jersey, and Don Bosco Prep High School. I have always had my pitchers throw on a consistent basis. Monitoring the intensity level of their throwing is the key to keeping kids healthy. If a kid tells you that his arm is sore, it doesn't mean that you shut him down, okay? You want to minimize the intensity level, maybe shorten up the distance, but they need to continue to throw. So this program that we're doing now is something that I've been doing over the last 14 years as a high school coach. I've seen dozens of kids pitch in college. Again, a couple kids played professional baseball. But the fact is they stayed healthy. And they stayed healthy because they threw. They didn't stay healthy because they rested. Having said that, there is a point where pitchers do need rest. And that will come when they communicate to you that they need the rest. And the key to being a good coach and keeping your players healthy is communication. They have to be able to communicate to you that their arm doesn't feel good a certain day. And you have to be able to adjust their throwing routines to accommodate them.
Cigarettes, a butterfly under the glass. You are beautiful, but you're not going anywhere. We do the same thing every night. I swear I've heard this song before. A swimmer who has seen a shark. I should really be more wary of the water. You came, you saw, you conquered. Guessing what went wrong. Yeah, I'm down, but not out, and far from done. Hey, oh, beware. With an intellect, you show your eyes selectively. You stole my glow, a seasoned thief. The blacks of my eyes are turning into old. Today I walk, there's nothing in it for me but empty promises and the thought of all the things I've never. Come on, dig.
Harder.
Hey, what are you?
3, 2, go! Come on, dig. Come on, push. Come on.